I am no redstoner, but I do have a problem, a will to solve it, and a sweet stash. Here's the problem. No, not my base, but rather what's under it. A large 200 something by 200 something by 120 something chunk of the world that I need deleted. Now it's here that many of you will say, get a pickaxe, grab a bacon, and get to work. Well, I could and have done that, but Deep Slate sucks. It really sucks. It's slow, cumbersome, and it takes so long to dig through that just this 2 wide trench has me wanting to uninstall the game and never come back. Let alone the 24 something thousand block area that I need removed. So why not just blow it up? Well, because this is the area directly under my base, and that means that there are a few unique resources I want to maintain for future farms, such as my geodes, of which I have many, and my spawners, of which I have a few. So the real problem is how to mine out a large space while being picky and lazy about it. Moss is a common fix for getting through Deep Slate quickly. It's cheap, easy, far faster than mining rock by hand. However, it's still a very manual process, and redstone potential to speed things up is extremely limited. We can't move dispensers with pistons, so you can't auto bone meal without building a massive grid that has to be destroyed and recreated each and every layer. Flying machines can remove moss quickly, but they're imperfect, and you have to ensure that you've cleared every block that can stop them, or you'll be rebuilding that machine over and over again. Moss also destroys a lot more than just stone and Deep Slate, and I'd rather not have to worry about losing valuable building materials. Sculk has potential. You can automate most of its spread with some catalysts, chickens, dispensers, and foxes. Put these all together and you have a fully AFK-able Sculk generator. Get yourself a mending hoe without silk touch, and you don't even have to worry about your tools running out like with other mining methods. However, Sculk spread is slow and inconsistent, so you could be waiting a while before you get to clear a full layer, and then you have to reset the catalyst again. Sculk is also just as aggressive as moss when destroying blocks, so you still risk losing a lot of great building materials if you're just wanting to get rid of stone and Deep Slate. It is fairly cheap, so it could still work on some projects of a smaller scale though. And then you have... These annoying little creatures became a top tier mining tool in 1.21, which changed everything with Infestation, a splash potion that causes silverfish to spawn anytime an infected mob or player takes damage. With this, we have a way to control the silverfish's unique property to instantly mine specific blocks. You see, a silverfish will invest nearby cobblestone, stone variants, as well as Deep Slate. When another silverfish is damaged while near an infested block, that block will be destroyed and a new silverfish is spawned that then goes in search of a new home to infest. And I'm sure it's about here that you'll realize where this is going. I present to you the Chunk Drill. Don't let the chest towers scare you. The entire build is fairly compact and, as the saying goes, rather quite simple. It's a combination of 6 small pieces put together to create a contraption that will automatically mine out the majority of the stone and Deep Slate below it, while leaving behind all of those valuable resources. The material list for the drill itself is shown on the screen now. The one variable is the number of potions you'll need, and that will depend on how tall of a chunk you're trying to mine out. Let's finally get into the tutorial and build this thing. So we're going to start with the chamber. And now I made it out of glass because 1, I want to be able to see everything that's happening, and 2, you want to make sure that it's built out of something silverfish can't infest. And that goes for where the redstone's going to be as well. Very rarely some silverfish can get pushed outside of this chamber, and you don't want them to destroy all the redstone you've worked so hard on and mess up the entire machine. So we're going to start off with a 5 by 5 by 8-ish glass box, and this is going to be what tortures our poor mob friends as well as spawns in all of our silverfish. You're going to see that I am keeping some spaces around. This is going to be to fit in some hoppers, some dispensers, and down there at the bottom is going to be fitting in our piston trapdoor. So we're going to go ahead and start closing this off. This is going to be where our mobs are stored. You'll see that in just a moment. And our last one here. Excellent. Now that the glass has been placed, we do want to grab a campfire, and we're going to put it right here. Now, I am in creative and I'm using Lightmatica, but whenever you put it, you go ahead and just extinguish that to make your life easier later down the road if you so desire. Then we're going to go ahead and get a fence gate down here, and we're going to place it here and open it up. And that's going to allow whenever we flush everything out to just come on out and get put in right here. And the last step is going to be a water bucket there. That's our water. Perfect. Now we want to go ahead and we'll put the wool right here that we're going to use for the pistons. It can be any kind of block as long as it's not infestable and it's movable by pistons. All right. Step 2 is going to be the clocks that power this thing. And I'm going to start up here with the infestation clock just because it's a little easier to work with. So let's go ahead and build that out. We're going to build a platform for where we're going to build our clock. And that is going to be a 2x8-ish platform. And you'll see what's all going on here. A little extra right here for the observer. And this is a very simple clock. I forget exactly. I believe this might be Ethos Hopper clock that we're using. And it's really not all that complicated once you build it. We put the comparator here facing this way because we're going to be putting some hoppers there. A repeater here facing away from the comparator, and you can leave it on the one click. A small redstone line, and we're going to drop a piston. And on the other side, you just mirror that, a comparator, a repeater, a small redstone line around, and a piston. And then we're going to go ahead and drop a redstone block right here. And then we want to put in our hoppers. So we grab a hopper and we're going to put it down, and you're going to notice that it's going to go straight down. That's fine. We're actually just we're going to come over here, squat down, and there we go. Then over here, do that again. And this way the hoppers will face each other, and that's what we want. We want the hoppers to be facing each other here. And then from here, we want to go ahead and put in our observer and our dispenser and the hopper on top of the dispenser. This is going to be what feeds in the infestation potions to either the Allay or the Armadillos, whatever we're using. And that's pretty much the clock. Yeah. So I'll explain this in just a second. Now we're going to go ahead and swing around to the other side and build a clock that powers the 3 dispensers that then affect all of the silverfish that we've been spawning in. So let's go ahead and build 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's all we need. This for the dispensers. This is going to be for the observer we put down, and here's a second platform for another clock. And we're going to do exactly what we did on the other side, just mirrored where it's an observer. Let's go ahead and put our piston. We can put the block of redstone right there if we want to, and then, yeah, it's the exact same. You get the idea. And then on this side, we're going to go ahead and do 3 lines of redstone, 3 little dots, and then a repeater, repeater, repeater. You can leave all of these just as they are, and then go ahead and put your dispensers here. And we can, if we so desire, we can go ahead and put in our hoppers as well. These are going to be the hoppers that feed in from the chest tower to these dispensers, and we'll get to that in just a bit. All right, both clocks are finished. Now what we need to do before we put any items into them is build our toggle switch so we can turn this sucker on and off. And we're going to start that off with some redstone dust on top of the hopper. And then you'll see here, we're just going to put a line of wool. And this is just because this circuit it's very simple. We're just doing a line of redstone that wraps from these hoppers all the way around to the other ones. It's really not that complicated. And from over here, you can see that we now have a lever, which we're going to go ahead and flick and run power through. Power running through these redstone lines is going to be what turns off both hoppers instead of the clock turning off just one of them. Etho hopper clocks run on a very simple logic. You place items into a hopper, it feeds into the other one, and when that hopper is emptied out, it triggers the comparator, triggers the piston, the redstone block, and the observer, and then the items start flowing back. And this is all done at a very reliable and consistent pace that we can calculate. Now, for my contraption, we're running everything off 2 hopper clocks. This hopper clock is going to be for the infestation, and an infestation potion lasts about 3 minutes. So we want this to get maxed out with items, and the easiest ones, the cheapest ones, is definitely just going to be cobblestone. So we're going to go ahead and do all 5 stacks, 64, and that'll give us about 2 minutes to go, and every 2 minutes this should trigger. Now over here at the splash clock, this is the one that's going to trigger all 3 of these dispensers at one time. And we need this one to go off at much faster intervals than the other clock over there for the infestations. I'm still not certain I have the absolute best timing, but I've had good success with 16 items, which triggers every few seconds. Alright, so we have our switch, we have our clocks. The next step is going to be the circuit for the door, so that everything can flush out. And that's going to be right down here. Instead of doing a 3rd clock, we're just going to patch in to this one over here. And you're going to see that we're going to go ahead and do a line of wool down and around. And you're going to see that the color is going to change. I'm going to explain what this circuit is. This is just a pulse extender. I will explain that in just a moment. But we come all the way around. And we want to make sure we have another full block right here. And we'll explain that in just a moment as well. So from here, we're going to patch in our redstone. And you see here, we've got something a little different. We have a redstone repeater, and we're going to make sure to right-click it once. We need this to be clicked once. And the reasoning for that is the pulse that comes from the observer up here isn't powerful enough, it doesn't last long enough to trigger the pulse extender down here. So the redstone repeater clicked once, extends, like it strengthens the pulse so that it hits the extender, allowing us to lengthen how long the door is. And the extender is made very simply by having a comparator come out from that, a redstone line coming around, and then another comparator mirroring it. You'll see just as long as it's this setup, you'll be good to go. Then we're going to keep building our redstone line. And then repeater, repeater, repeater. And now these 3 repeaters are for timing in order to make sure there's enough of a delay from the potions splashing out and the door opening. So it's not all happening simultaneously. So we're going to max out all 3 of these repeaters. Then on the other side of this full block, we want to put in a redstone torch. And that's going to force the piston we put right here to extend and stay locked. Now, whenever we put power into this, whenever we power the circuit, Now, whenever we power this circuit, it will actually turn off this redstone torch, making the piston retract, thus opening the door. And that's exactly what we want. With the door circuit done, that's pretty much the entire contraption right there. All you do now is load up your chest, put in the potions, and decide which mobs that you want to torture in order to mine out the chunk. So there are 2 options. One, you can do armadillos, and if you do, you just have to add a little chamber right here, a little hat for a zombie, as a zombie will scare the armadillos, and while they're in this state, while they're scared, they won't take damage once you light the campfire. Or you can use Allays, and if you use Allays, they just regenerate faster than the campfire can kill them. Either one will work. It's terrible, it's inhumane, I know, but it's Minecraft, so what are we going to do about it? So pick the mob that you want to wrangle, pop them in there. You want to try to get at least 24. Well, you want to try to max it out. So go for 24, which will hit up the mob limit before they all start to kill themselves by, entity cramming. And as far as the potions, those are going to be what makes this an endgame contraption. And I probably should have said that at the beginning of this video. This is definitely an endgame contraption. Don't try to do this early game. So we're using 4 separate potions. The infestation, very cheap. Just use a stone, and that's it. These other 3 potions, we've got the potion of poison, the splash potion of slow falling, and a splash potion of regeneration. And that's going to require at least 5 farms set up before you even start this chunk drill so that you can get everything ready and all the materials for it. A gas farm will get you the gunpowder to change all of these to splash potions, and the tears are necessary for regeneration. A spider farm will get you the eyes needed for poison. A phantom farm will get you the membranes for slow fall. And it's good to go the extra mile to make a redstone farm that you'll be able to maximize the drill's effectiveness with extended potions. So you've built the drill, you have all the farms, you have all of your chests or your shulker loaders, either will work here, loaded up and primed, and everything's ready to go to torture some poor innocent Allays or armadillos so that you can AFK mine a single chunk. Well, that's excellent news and that's great, but there are just 2 more steps needed before we can do so. We need to, 1, make sure to remove all of the liquids. This is a world eater and it's just kind of par for the course that water will mess it up and lava that'll kill all the silverfish, and that's just not helpful at all. The second thing is kind of unique just to this drill. I actually don't know of any other contraption that's going to run into this problem, and I don't have a good solution for it. If you've got an idea though, let me know in the comments below. And that is dealing with the mob idle movement limit. You see, Minecraft has a lot of little lag saving mechanics, and this is one of them. It is just the only one that affects this machine. So what we need to do is start with the top layer of what we're mining, and in here you can see that's going to be Y177. And then we drop down approximately 31 blocks to a little AFK place made of blocks that the silverfish can't infest, so they can't destroy it and kill us. Because I'm assuming you're going to try to build this in survival. And the reason for this is that 32 blocks, silverfish just stop moving around. They're not going to move around, so you're going to get far less effective drill. So we come down here to 31 blocks to give us a 62 block range for silverfish mining. And you're going to see how that works here in a moment. So I've got this all ready to go. I've got the AFK spot. I have everything ready. I am going to hit this with the potion just to prime it so we don't have to wait the full 2 minutes. They will instantly start making silverfish. Flick the lever. And there we go. And we're going to see that very, very quickly the silverfish are going to get to work mining out the stone. And it might start kind of slow, but don't worry. Don't worry. They're going to build up, and it's going to just become something wonderful. So we're now in our little AFK area, and our drill has only been going for a little while, and look how fast these silverfish are going. We're just going to sit here, we're going to AFK, and kind of just see what happens. And after just a few minutes, barring a small piece of granite that I had to clean up, and I did want to keep that in the video to show that this isn't a perfect, foolproof, completely AFK-able method. Like, it will require a little bit of babysitting here and there, because as you saw, just a few blocks got enough of these guys stuck to really slow it down. But with a little bit of work, I think there's real potential here. And you can see these guys have been absolutely busy. If I clean out this andesite, that's very easy to do here in creative. But if we just clean out the andesite here, all of these guys are going to fall down and just get right back to it. And not only is all of this stone just getting eaten away, we can see that we still have the ores, we still have all the granite, we still have all of the gravel, all these more valuable materials than just the stone. And even all the way down here into the geode, it doesn't touch any of this. I can't think of any other mining method that's just this elegant and, well, non-destructive? Non-destructive, I think it's the best word for it. And not only is all of this just being saved, we can come down here and we see that we're already almost at the deep slate level. To mine all of this out, now granted, to mine all of this out with a beacon, not that long. But once we get to deep slate, they're going to keep going at this exact same pace. And as long as we keep in mind where our AFK chamber is right here, they'll go all the way down at least another 31, 32 blocks, which I think is pretty splendid. This is my very first redstone contraption that I didn't follow any tutorials for, and I designed it entirely myself, so I'm incredibly proud of it. It went through multiple iterations, and it certainly isn't perfect yet, so leave any ideas you have for improvements in the comments below. I'm thrilled you got this far in the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!